I came across this video a long time ago because I'm always fascinated with the architecture of Germany, and this video just kind of blew my mind in several ways, but it had me really asking what the heck happened to humanity and the human race between the last 100, 200 years. Because something really went and changed the power of the people, and a lot has kind of come out of us getting basically our divine lifestyle sucked out of us by social media, the media, and so many different things. And it just had me comparing the differences in the people back then and now. And this is 1945, after these cities had been bombed pretty hard, and these people are all like, they're smiley, they're just humble, they're normal, they're going about their daily routine. But this especially, how many women and people nowadays do you think would do this, and to gather together to do acts of teamwork like this that are just astounding in the face of just so much rubble, so much. Look at they're funny. These ladies all have like spunk. They're all very unique. They are just like totally. Look at this. Like how many people would like this lady does not need depression meds. She does not need help from like anyone. They're all doing this stuff like no matter what age, together and by themselves. They're cleaning up a tremendous amount of rubble, and the buildings that are destroyed are immaculate and probably ancient and just unbelievable. This guy is one of the coolest guys I've ever seen on film. And but in general, these the buildings are absolutely incredible in Germany. The architectures, which is what I'm going to talk about, but the morale of the people, the will of the people, their lifestyle. None of them are looking at their phones. Not one of them is considering posting about them doing this act. But there are hundreds of women just going to clean up piles. They're standing on 20, 30 feet of rubble, and that their goal is to take that apart bucket at a time, and they're doing it human powered like that, unbelievably. And they're smiling, they're happy. They still have not lost the magic of their living. Look at these women. They're absolutely incredible people. You can just absolutely tell, and they're all doing it. They're doing what they have to do. They know it. They don't care. They actually enjoy helping their community, their nationalism, their pride for their everything. And then just in the midst of these buildings that are just ancient and magnificent power generators, and these things were just destroyed. I can't imagine having such a bond to these things and just having your world just tossed around like this. And as a result of this war, and having these ancient treasures be lost and just be so happy about it. This is 80 years ago, and it's tough to even fathom their mentality. But I just wanted to share that because I thought that was really amazing, and it's just so different than just nowadays. I can't even stress that enough. It seems like we've lost so much of what is important, and just how to live, how to exist, how to go through time and not be depressed, not be needing a chemical fill, not be thinking that you're weak or you're a victim or needing something from someone, or just these people seemed like they were just in total control. And this is only that generation ago. And I have an interesting theory that something definitely did happen in the mid 1800s, I believe, some form of interesting reset or something, where a lot of people, like the orphan trains and different kinds of factors, end up kind of adding up with there being a rush of orphans and children, and basically them being able to craft a generation from scratch, free of all information of whatever happened in America before, free or in the world before, and they could get them to really do anything by believing exactly, starting from scratch. It's just basically a blank slate, and you're forming a generation with the education that you provide, that the government provided for these years. And it just led to just different things and different ways of raising people and different ways of raising children and whatnot. And I feel like it's either going in one direction in a bad way, where people are abusive and terrible actually to their families and friends and neighbors and buildings and structures and cities and cultures. And it needs to go back to a time where we really treasured these things and really absolutely honored these things and wondered about them and wondered about the miracles of these structures and maybe even create a colossal one of our own in our generation. And so I found this book, and I want to translate some of these amazing things because this is just some incredible architectural masterworks throughout time. So check this out. This is a view of the Temple of Solomon from the side of Mount Moriah. Ezekiel, and according to this prophet R.P. Vipalbandi, the explanation of the figures is on the first page of the plan. Well, so this is the Temple of Solomon, which I wonder what that would look like, or what it would feel like to walk around it. Look at the size of the buildings below it. Unbelievable in structure and grandeur and magnificence. The colossal statue of the Olympian Jupiter, made of gold and ivory, which being asylum had the height of 60 feet. The masterpiece of Phidias. We added the cup of the Olympian temple in the Elide, famous for the games, which is celebrated there every 4 years. The destiny is after the exact description of Paulanius. And I do believe that these structures were real at one point. And look at this. What were the size of the columns before that? What existed in front and all around this thing? And who was that god to warrant such a statue? Wow. And this is a mausoleum that Artemisia had built in Halicarnasse between the Temple of Venus and the royal palace in memory of King Mausole, her husband. So, wow, that was just, if they were able to just build these things as basically glorified tombstones, then it's amazing what they must have been able to build all the time. And the marvelous Colossus of Rhodes, dedicated to the sun, which was cast in bronze by Lindian under the government of Theagony, Prince of Caria, around the year 3600, was 70. So that's pretty interesting too. That statue is very famous, and imagine going under that and seeing that and having the smoke go, like, what? These people were unbelievable. This is the famous lighthouse which Ptolemy Philadelphus, king of Egypt, raised at the entrance to the port of Alexandria. It was a tower of various stories adorned with magnificent white marble staircases, at the top of which a number of lanterns were lit during the night to serve as a guide for pilots, it says. Could mean for ships, or it could be for planes too. I would not be surprised. They definitely had the ability to fly if they could build this stuff. The two pyramids at the height of a stadium of Moeris, king of Egypt, made iron for faith and for the queen near his mausoleum in the middle of the great lake, made by orders and called by his name. Now where is this now? How can this? I wish this had survived. Look at that. That is unbelievable. Their use of pyramids has got to be for some other purpose than just a statue. Those things are so massive, they must have been huge people in general. A temple taken from a medal found near a mummy of Egypt, which according to the opinion of the connoisseurs is a temple of Nineveh. This medal belonged to Mr. Jean-Pierre Bellori in Rome. So imagine just the things, the treasures that exist in general, this place right here. And like the mummy taken from mummies in Egypt, all these things were connected in such crazy ways. This is awesome. The Colossus of Mount Athos in Macedonia, according to the design of DiNo, architect of the great Alexander. That's actually amazing. I don't think I ever realized that. But look at that. What? How many mountains exist that were like that at one point? Once they found out they could honor them in mountains, carve into mountains as a sculpture tool, wow. As an art form, oh my god. View of island Borromei in the Great Lake, one day from the city of Milan. So that should be able to be found. I would like to see if you can see any of these ruins on Google Earth, or try to discover where some of these places still might have been, or might be somewhat visible in some ridiculous way. Now that is awesome. I would love to just party there for weeks. The Great Cistern of Constantinople has the place called Atmeidan, formerly the Hippodrome. Freestone columns of which it is supported underground are almost covered with water at a distance, which only suffers the passage of small batons or boats. This elevation was brought from the east with the plan, and with some other Turkish buildings, to communicate them to the curious because of their singularity. That is cool. I wonder what their singularity is. Are they the illusion that they create? I bet you giant illusions could do amazing things for the body and mind, and probably hallucinate kind of. 2 Egyptian porphyry vases with 4 palms apart from the Marquis del Carpio Viceroy of Naples. And I included this because it's Naples, and porphyry actually means from ancient Greek, and it means purple, which was the color of royalty, and the imperial porphyry was a deep purple, igneous rock with large crystals of plagioclase. Some authors claimed the rock was the hardest known in antiquity. Imperial-grade porphyry was thus prized for monuments and building projects in imperial Rome and later, and it has a very hardness, like a scale of 7, which is similar to steel and quartz. So that's pretty interesting, because I also wonder if those things were urns for people, for gods, or different kings, or some giants. Definitely can't shake the thought that giants existed and had a hand in building some of these massive monuments, because they are just so big. For humans, it would just take so many people, it doesn't seem right. And these things, like, what was in them? I'm sure they exist somewhere in some Smithsonian, but the rest of these I didn't really translate. This book is just awesome. The artwork is incredible. The buildings are magnificent, and it just shows ancient different relics and places that were unbelievable, like absolutely sacred miracles of architecture and whatnot. And still, it's comparable to Piranesi and different things that he saw, and a lot of the things were in ruins. You can find ruins of places like this all over the place. I wonder at one point if there were just pyramids all over the place, like in the distance here, or just, you know, monuments like this that all had a purpose, people hanging out by them. Are those people like the size of the gods, or the people that build this, and the humans would be even smaller? Like, the scale is sometimes a little tough, but clearly something. I mean, like, these things are not made out of wood. They're made of amazingly heavy stones and just everything. And just the porphyry, just they incorporate crystals into things. I'm sure they knew so much. And when this world was fully completed, fully architected, and no one was blowing anything up, there must have been a time of peace where all these buildings were just existing and people traveling back and forth. Imagine walking around from just going to a different place and seeing just their magnificent architecture like this. Stuff that we can't even fathom, because I'm sure the ones that are left over are some of the, probably not the best, probably not at all. I have a feeling the big ones were always looted first or destroyed first, and different corrections and historical fixings and just intentional destructions that just occurred all over the place. These palaces, these castles that still exist all over the country, all over the world, all over every country, just point to a time where people lived a lot differently than they do now. People were capable of so much more. People were able to do so many different things using just intelligence and different mechanisms like this free energy tech, I'm sure. I guarantee those things at the top of these have some way of connecting and collecting energy and connecting this whole probably structure of building a machine and making it work. Basically plugging it in with just atmospheric energy, and it probably was able to heat things. That's probably why a lot of these buildings were capable of existing during in amazingly cold climates, or if an ice age or a period of coldness struck somewhere, they would have the ability. Or too hot, you could probably cool it down. I'm sure they had a way of even doing that. They must have figured out so much, and we just have a lot of people just go on just thinking that, oh, you know, this is what life is, this generation that we're a part of, all these things, these masks, this is the way humanity's become. We're awesome, we're better than all these ancient cultures, and we are just absolutely not. And the only way to get even close is to acknowledge it and really just try to grasp and force ourselves to really come up with a realization, get these into our dreams, get these images into our subconscious and into our minds, so that maybe we have a dream that guides us in a direction that has. I've definitely had dreams where architecture has been Tartarian and magical and ancient and different. Carl Jung had a great dream where he went down different layers of history and humanity into his basement, and things got crazy. And a lot of people have these dreams, and these things are inherent in us. They are the formation of the archetypes. They are probably the prima material that we have existed with throughout time, and that we almost need to interact with. And again, that's why whenever things are good for humanity, great for the people, and promising and encouraging and inspiring and enlightening, they want them destroyed. The people are controllers, and they want them all controlled and destroyed and rewritten. And we're seeing more and more churches are burning down in France recently. Mary structures all over America, structures are being just desecrated, and this is the next phase. The powers that suck want a world completely rid of any of this. And one of the main things this does is it puts an incredible amount of thought and questioning into people when you see this type of architecture and you see the proportions and how small the people are in comparison to how big and massive these incredibly heavy and strong buildings are, and how beautiful the architecture and artwork is. It's remarkable. And if people can't see this stuff, then they will never question where they are from or anything, because there's something beautiful that we came from that they are hiding from us, and they don't want us to know. They want to pummel us with, we came from hate, we came from war, we came from slavery, we came from a nightmarish past that we should be ashamed of and we should want to erase. And instead, these images show quite the contrary, that we should find out more and more about where we came from. And if this knowledge does exist somewhere, we need to rate it and find it and publish it and make it known, because this kind of information of our distant past might be what can knock people through a reality of grasping stuff. Because once you realize you've been lied to about history and about space, you will question absolutely everything. And so like a lot of this Q stuff is happening, and people are thinking, you know, like, oh, we have to wait till the public gets it, and we have to wait till the public is informed enough where we can call these people out on treason, and it will be and people will get it. I'm sick of waiting. We get it. We know what these people have done, from erasing our history to just this COVID nightmare. They just have been doing it throughout time, and they're erasing our miracle of humanity, and we need to get it back. Free energy is the way to go, not this other stuff that they're pushing and they're disguising as all these things. It's like they've been fooling generations so much. Our parents' generation, the baby boomers' generation, Mockingbird, was just decimated with mind control. If you even say conspiracy to any of them, they just like immediately start shaking and convulsing, and they immediately will attack you. It's sick. And they've let so many things get out of control, and we need to bring it back, because we're seeing these glimpses, we're piecing it together, and it starts with questioning things. And if you question like the nature of reality from what they're telling you, then that's the start. And then you soon realize that, wow, I don't trust anything that anyone's telling me. We have to join as a force of humanity, 7 billion strong, and start rewriting reality, start recreating a world of truth, get off these corrupt internet systems, stop supporting all these other people, stop donating to presidential candidates. People should be donating to local communities, local artists, local builders, local workers, local people in communities. And more thought and effort and less control and propaganda needs to begin to go into the education system. There needs to be classes on imagination, on listening, on caring, or just things that incorporate those into the sciences, into the literature, into all different stuff. Like change the books people are reading, or just do something to guide people towards a more enlightening and beautiful reality that incorporates these images of the past and questions them. And if we don't know something for sure, we need to state that it's theory, and people should be brought up knowing when something is theory and when something is absolutely hard fact, and knowing when something is a lie and something is accurate. And there's so many people that just have so many thoughts on ancient realities that they have no idea about. We can never be certain of how they lived or how they existed or really anything until we see it firsthand. So there are so many miracles out there. This is my artwork, Miracle of Mysteries, and we are just bombarded by them. They are so beautiful, so fun to figure out, so fun to think about, so inspiring and great for education. And we need to recreate a generation of beautiful thinkers like the ancients. The ideas that you can generate from looking at artworks of these ancient creators is just infinite. They can take you on different parts of the mind that you never thought existed, and take you to different realms of reality that just really make you question everything. these pyramids, like, why were they building it? There are so many questions to ask every time you look at these structures and at these ancient pictures. And they can really, you know, seeing that stuff at a young age is absolutely priceless and essential for growing up with a great sense of wonder and a great enthusiasm for the fact that you can do anything and your potential is infinite and eternal, and you are part of an absolute miracle. So bless you all.